So now we created our recording and we want to actually fix our notes a little bit, add some stuff into them and actually just listen back to the recording. So that's what we're going to talk about now. If we go into Glean again, once you've finished recording, the playback option becomes available. So that is up here. You've also got some playback options which we'll talk about as well. But the first thing I'd recommend you do once you finish recording is actually pressing this convert to text option. So if you press this button up here, if we press that, it will start converting our audio to text, which is a really powerful feature because it allows us to actually see what's been said. It also allows us to navigate through what's been said really easily in a recording. So that can take a little while depending on how long your recording is, but it doesn't take too long, and the good thing is you can actually go out of this event, create a new event, start a new lecture, whatever, and it will continue to do that in the background because it's done on the internet over the cloud. You can see it's actually completed now since I've been talking, so now we can see what is being said here, which is fantastic. So if I perhaps want to go to this part in the recording and hear what was being said at that point, then I can click on this part of the recording and press play. So basically what I'd recommend is when you start recording on Glean, you want to... So that's how you can navigate around. You can also click on a different, if I want to go straight to slide 3, I can click on this part and I can press play here on the actual note and I can play that. That breaks it up again, and then if you want to go to the next slide again, just post next slide. Nice and easy. Breaks up the audio nice and easily, which is really helpful. And then if if your lecture... And you can see we're under slide 3 now, so that's where it took us right to this point. And if we want to go to this point where we weren't sure what the lecturer said, we can just click on that and then we can press play. There's another option here for reviewing something, so if you maybe... And you can see it actually starts, we've marked it as that point, but it starts at the start of that audio chunk, so that in case you've missed anything, which is quite good. The other thing is you notice that audio is quite loud, it's got quite a lot of background noise. So if we start playing it back, press this post next, we've got a few playback options here. So first of all, you can change the speed of the playback. If the lecturer, your lecturer is perhaps speaking too quickly, you could put it down to 0.75 times or 0.5 times to slow it down a little bit so you can actually hear what's being said. Or if they're speaking a bit too slow and you want to kind of listen to it a bit faster, you can speed up as well, which is really helpful if you want to get through the recording quite quickly. You've also got a few options here in terms of noise cancellation, which cuts out any background noise. This will only work for noises that are consistent, things like air conditioning, just kind of constant noises that are in the background. It will work really well for that, but it won't necessarily work to kick out all the noise in the room because that's kind of how noise cancellation works. So if we click on this, I'll play it back first and then we'll click on it halfway through so you can hear the difference. Down on the bottom left here and press that, and that will post, it'll take us on to the next slide on the left hand side. It'll also post a new heading to actually start a new section of audio. That allows us to break up. So I don't know if you can hear that, but basically it cuts out any background noise, and it's cut out, there's fans from my computer actually in the background of that it cuts out, and it just lets you focus on what's being said. There's also the option for click reduction here, which obviously if you are doing a recording and you're taking notes, then you'll be typing on your computer first of all, you'll be clicking your mouse, for example, which makes a lot of noise obviously. That just reduces those noises as well, which is great. So I just kind of have a play around with these features and get the recording to a point which you're comfortable with, and that'll make your audio sound a lot better. The other things you do here are if we want to expand this note here, we can just press this little expand button here and it expands this, and you can edit it however you want to. You can type out extra notes and put that in. You can change the type of note, so if you press the little icon down here, if we press that, you can change it to important, for example, review, or you can create a heading out of that note if you want to as well. And you can adjust the start and the end time of that if you want to. If you maybe press the note button too late, you can maybe push that back a little bit, or you can push the whole thing back if you want to and move it around, which is really helpful. Or you can delete it as well here. You can also do that in terms of if you want to change that from review to a note. We could just click on this icon here and we can change it to adjust a note by clicking off review, for example. Or if we want to change it to an important note, we can just click on that, which is great. So that's very helpful. You can also convert this to a task. I don't know why you'd convert that to a task, but if we did want to, just for example's sake, we can do that, convert that to a task, add a due date for next week possibly, and then we now have a task out of that. So the other thing you can do here is you can actually add in new notes at any point in your recording. So if we wanted to add let's say here, we can just click on that part of the recording, and then we can literally just add a note in here and say, you know, whatever your note you would type there, and then you just press post. That is now a new note for us, which is good. So you can add that in at any point as well. And the last thing I want to add on here is that when you're working on your notes, you've got the option to use this little timer here, this focus timer. So you can choose 10, 15, or 30 minutes, depending on what works for you. I'll put on 30 minutes, press start timer, and you can see there's now a timer up here. This doesn't do anything. It is literally just a timer for you to look at. It's what's called the Pomodoro technique, which allows you to kind of take 30 minutes to just focus on fixing your notes within Glean, for example, or doing a task where you can just put your phone away for 30 minutes, and then after 30 minutes, you can look at your phone again. You can go on social media for 5 minutes or whatever, and then you can maybe start a new timer and try and focus on what you're doing for another little while again. So it's quite a good study technique, and that's why they've included this timer in here, which is quite helpful for you if you struggle to focus for long periods of time. So that's how you update your notes in Glean after you have created a recording.